In the heart of Pittsburgh's busiest emergency department, Dr. Michael Rabinovich, better known as Dr. Robbie, arrives for his grueling 15-hour shift at Pittsburgh Trauma Medical Hospital. But today isn't just another day. It marks the 4th anniversary of his mentor Dr. Adamson's death during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, a loss that still weighs on him, even as he insists he's fine. His team isn't convinced. Dr. Robbie leads a group of dedicated, but often overworked doctors. Dr. Heather Collins, newly pregnant after struggling with infertility, a secret she's keeping for now. Dr. Jack Abbott, weighed down by grief, finishes his shift for the day. Before leaving, he briefs Robbie on the patients expected to arrive, including a teenager scheduled for an abortion. Dr. Frank Langdon, an arrogant but skilled physician who has an old friendship with Robbie. Dr. Cassie McKay, a 42-year-old second-year resident who made a late career change. Dr. Samira Slow-Mo Mohan, known for taking too long with patients, much to Robbie's frustration. They're joined by new interns and med students. Dr. Melissa King, a second-year resident, eager but socially awkward. Intern Trinity Santos, overconfident. Dennis Huckleberry Whitaker, a Nebraska farm boy and 4th-year med student, timid but well-meaning. Victoria Crash Javadi, a 20-year-old prodigy whose first day earns her a nickname for all the wrong reasons. Dana, the no-nonsense charge nurse who keeps everything running. Princess, multilingual. And Perla, her close friend. Kiara, a social worker dealing with the hospital's most delicate cases. They go on ward round, checking on few patients before chaos begins. Sam Wallace is rushed in with a cracked skull after jumping onto subway tracks to save a woman from an oncoming train. He's stitched up and intubated, but his condition remains critical. The woman he saved has a gruesome degloving injury on her ankle. Worse, she doesn't speak English, making treatment even more complicated. Dr. Garcia wants to push morphine, but Collins warns that it'll cloud her mental status. They compromise on a popliteal block, numbing just the leg. Victoria faints during the woman's ankle reconstruction, earning her nickname when she's sent to the lounge to recover. Princess tries to identify the woman's language, but nothing sticks. The police suspect she was pushed onto the tracks, a possible hate crime. Hospital administrator Gloria interrupts, pressuring Robbie to reduce wait times and improve patient satisfaction. But he knows the real solution. More resources and better nurse pay isn't what the higher-ups want to hear. She gives him an ultimatum: step up or step aside. Otis Williams, a seasoned triathlete, comes in complaining of shortness of breath, then drops into cardiac arrest mid-exam. Dr. McKay resuscitates him, but when he crashes again, Robbie doesn't wait for lab results. Against protocol, he pushes calcium gluconate, convinced that he has rhabdomyolysis, a condition where muscle breakdown from intense exercise leading to kidney failure and sky-high potassium levels. Collins argues with him, but Robbie knows waiting will kill Otis. His call saves Otis's life, but the tension between him and Collins grows. Trinity bets Dennis that Victoria won't last the shift, but Dennis is more worried about his school loans. Trinity jokingly suggests he sell a kidney, claiming she can get him $30,000 by the weekend. 3 elderly patients are en route from an assisted living home. One passes away before arrival, another is being kept alive by a Lucas chest compression machine, and the third is Mr. Spencer. However, they soon realize that the patient on the Lucas device has a DNR order. When they stop compressions, Robbie calls for a moment of silence, only for Dennis's phone to ring, ruining it. Crash, eager to prove herself, asks Robbie to let her back in. Instead, he orders her to go work in triage with Dr. McKay. Before she can protest, in walks Dr. Eileen Shamsi, a top-ranking surgeon at the hospital. She's here to check on her daughter, who just so happens to be Crash. Crash, flustered, tries to play off her nickname as Crush, because she's crushing it. She's not. It's later revealed that Crash's dad is also a doctor at the hospital, an endocrinologist. Robbie, amused, asks Dana why she didn't warn him. Dana smirks, didn't want to ruin the surprise. A 4-year-old boy arrives lethargic. His parents couldn't wake him up that morning. His labs are normal until Langdon finds a green gummy in his mouth. The father suddenly remembers that his brother-in-law left gummies in his coat pocket the night before. A test confirms the boy ingested cannabis, and his mother is furious. Heather finally identifies the language of the subway woman. She's from Nepal, using a world map on her phone to communicate. Otis crashes again, this time due to fluid buildup around his heart. Robbie performs an emergency ultrasound-guided pericardiocentesis, once again saving his life, despite Collins's objections. Trinity is impressed. Dennis handles his first case well, diagnosing a patient's gallstones. But when Princess suggests checking for a heart attack as well, he takes the idea. Teresa arrives in the ER with uncontrollable vomiting, brought in by her son David. But Dr. McKay notices something feels off about their dynamic and calls in Robbie. Alone with him, Teresa confesses. She faked her illness to get into the ER because she discovered a kill list in David's notebook, targeting his female classmates. David, still grieving his father's death from COVID, is deeply unstable. But since he's legally an adult, Robbie says they can't force him into psychiatric care. When social worker Kiara tries to intervene, David bolts. Robbie chases after him. But David vanishes into the street, and another emergency pulls Robbie back inside. As Robbie stands in the ER, exhausted, the weight of the day, and the anniversary of Dr. Adamson's death catches up to him. The walls close in, and suddenly, he's no longer in the present. Instead, he's back at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, reliving his mentor's final moments.